As I was making my birthday wish, a woman kissed my boyfriend. The same man who once willingly offered to be my dog. If he's going to be disloyal, then I don't want this dog anymore. Without my protection, let's see how far he can go. 1. My name is Deng Shu. I used to be a reckless school bully. But I only picked on wicked people. 10 years ago, Feng Zuan came to me and asked me to protect him. He was the illegitimate son of the Feng family. Constantly oppressed by the legitimate heir, bullied openly and secretly at school. He gave me all his pocket money and said he would obey me from then on. I glanced at his crumpled pocket money, didn't even look him in the eye, and walked straight past him. This isn't even enough to feed my dog. 2. The next day he came to me again, presenting a signed and sealed master-servant contract. If I protected him, I would be his master forever. All his future achievements would belong to me. The indenture was written with apparent sincerity, and he also included an IOU for 10 billion yuan. I took pity on him and accepted him. In college, using the money I gave him, he founded Shohan Technology. Within a few years it became a prominent enterprise in Beijing. The Feng family welcomed him back with great fanfare. He became a high-profile celebrity. For 10 years he remained respectful and obedient to me as always. To save his face in public, I called him Brother An. 3. I watched as a woman kissed my boyfriend, and he did not refuse. He even enjoyed it. Expressionless, I stuffed a candle into the woman's mouth and set her hair on fire at the same time. The moment her hair ignited, I smashed a whole cake over her head to put out the flames. He Zixin lunged at me crazily, but I kicked her away. I became a school bully not only because my father was the richest man in Beijing, but also because I was extremely tough. The lights were turned on. What everyone saw was a frantic woman covered in cake. Her singed hair mixed with cream looked utterly ridiculous. Everything happened too fast. By the time everyone reacted, they all gasped. The last time I acted this wildly was a long time ago. Sister Shu, are you okay? My followers could tell from my expression that I was furious. Feng Zuan looked at his beloved, his face dark. Shu, what are you doing? I looked innocent. Brother An, everyone saw. If I hadn't put out the fire with cake, she'd be bald by now. He Zixin cried bitterly and leaned into Feng Zuan's arms. Brother An, how could Sister Shu do this? I quickly opened a large bottle of cola beside me and poured it over He Zixin's head. My followers reacted instantly. They all grabbed champagne, red wine and drinks around them and poured them over He Zixin. The mixed liquids dripped down her head and soaked Feng Zuan completely. Shu, Feng Zuan rarely lost his temper at me in public. I looked confused, as if I had no idea what I'd done wrong. She didn't like the cake on her head, so I cleaned it up for her. Why is that still wrong? Being a good person is just too hard these days, isn't it? By now half of He Zixin's head had hair, while the other half had uneven strands sticking to her scalp, looking even more ridiculous than with the cake. Crash! I pushed the 9-layer cake to the ground. Screw this lousy birthday party. I walked out of the hotel. A group of my followers followed. Sister Shu, that little secretary must be messing around with Feng, right? All my followers knew I only lost my temper at wicked people. And how wild I got depended on how evil the target was. That's for you to investigate. I didn't want to waste time checking on something filthy. 10 years later, the Deng family was still the richest. I was the only daughter of the richest man, still the person everyone in Beijing fawned over. One flick of my finger and crowds came running. 4. The next day I swaggered into Shohan Technology. Looking at the huge Shuan characters on the office building made me sick. Feng Zuan had insisted on combining our names for the company to show his loyalty to me. In the lobby a security guard stopped me. No unauthorized personnel allowed. Go get Feng Zuan down here. I crossed my arms and leaned lazily on the lobby sofa. The security guard's face changed immediately when he heard me say, Feng Zuan, please wait a moment. He ran to the front desk and muttered for a long time. Soon I saw someone I knew. It wasn't Feng Zuan. It was He Zixin wearing a wig. She stepped toward me in sky-high heels and sharply ordered the security guards to throw me out. This is a company, not a place for just anyone to enter. Miss, if you're bored you can go hang out at a bar. I sat on the sofa and blew on my newly done manicure. The security guards gathered to force me out. I took out my phone and made a call. It was answered instantly. My master, what can I do for you? Feng Xuan's sycophantic voice echoed through the entire lobby. Everyone's expression froze. Especially He Zixin's. Her face twisted into something almost abstract. I'm in the company lobby. I hung up, walked up to He Zixin, ripped off her wig and tossed it into the trash can. Trash should know its place. He Zixin covered her head in humiliation, her anger erupting completely. You're just a useless brat. Brother Zuan only keeps you out of pity. Do you really think you're somebody? No one had dared to provoke me in years. I flicked my hair and glanced at her coldly. Is that what Feng Xuan told you about me? I had kept a low profile since graduating. Did He Zixin really think I was Feng Xuan's caged bird? Isn't it true? All you do all day is get manicures and facials. What else can you do? Can you read financial reports? Can you make money? Feng Xuan appeared just then. He Zixin immediately dropped to her knees and wailed loudly. Sister Shushu, why are you humiliating me? I'm just Brother Zhuan's secretary. Are you really gonna make Brother Zhuan have no women around him at all? Are you going to fire all the female employees in this company? Feng Xuan looked at me, then at the weeping woman on the floor, and finally chose to shield He Zixin in his arms. No wonder He Zixin dared to challenge me. He still called me master in private out of habit, but he no longer obeyed me unconditionally like before. Shushu, what are you doing? This isn't school. You can't bully anyone you want. Feng Xuan spoke sternly, as if he had completely forgotten how he had begged me to protect him back then. He Zixin smiled a victorious smile. I stepped forward and slapped her across the face. I'm not bullying anyone. I'm bullying her. She isn't just anyone, and no one is her. I slapped her twice more, feeling satisfied when my nails left bleeding scratches on her face. Shushu Shinshin is my secretary. Hitting her is slapping me in the face. Go home first, don't make a scene here, okay? Feng Xuan trembled all over, stubbornness, grievance, humiliation and resentment flashing in his eyes. He held the woman in his arms tighter, as if afraid I would hit her again. You're right. I nodded, breathed into my palms and rubbed them together. Just as Feng Xuan's face cleared up, a loud slap landed solidly on his cheek. I stared at his bright red left cheek and frowned slightly. It's not symmetrical. Not nice to look at. I had OCD, so I slapped his right cheek to match. Alright, you wanted me to slap your face, so I did. Any other requests? I looked at him seriously, as if waiting for his next instruction. The woman in his arms froze in shock, forgetting to cry. The entire lobby fell into dead silence. When he said nothing, I swaggered toward the executive elevator. No one dared to stop me this time. I went straight to the top floor without waiting for Feng Xuan. After all these years, Feng Xuan had probably forgotten one fact. When he founded this company to please me and get my investment, all the shares were registered under my name. I had never taken any dividends or managed the company over the years, so he thought the company was his. 5. I had been to Feng Xuan's office a few years ago. Everything from the room to the furniture was solid black. Now, in the all-black decorated executive office, cartoon ornaments and pink cushions were placed inappropriately on the desk and sofa. I threw all those things into the trash can without hesitation. I also dumped all the couple-themed items from the office cabinet into the bin. Feng Xuan and I had never owned any couple items. Crackling sounds immediately filled the executive office. The stench of burning plastic spread everywhere. Shushu, what are you doing? Feng Xuan avoided my eyes. None of this matched his style, so he couldn't make up a lie. Can't you see I'm cleaning up trash? I suddenly noticed a small door in the executive office. Since when had there been a separate compartment here? Curious, I opened the door and saw pink bedding inside. Shushu, it's not what you think, Feng Xuan tried to explain. I waved it off casually, replying in a tone that showed I fully understood. If I'd known you liked pink, I would have had my assistant buy everything pink for you. I called my assistant, throw away all of Mr. Feng's single quotes clothes, and replace them with pink ones, shoes too, everything. Shushu. Feng Xuan dragged out his voice, sounding endlessly wronged. What's wrong? You like pink, so I'm making it happen. Aren't I nice? Feng Zuan was choked up, thinking he could just coax me later and everything would blow over. After I finished looking around the CEO's office, I went to the secretary's area. Which desk is he? Zixin's. Everyone looked at me, then at the people behind me. Finally, someone cautiously pointed to a desk that looked like a boss's desk. It stuck out like a sore thumb in an office full of cubicles. It was covered with all kinds of things: flowers, plants, art pieces. She really seemed to love life. Are you going to fire her or break up with me? I turned back and smiled at Feng Zuan, as if nothing unpleasant had happened between us. Feng Zuan rubbed his temples in frustration. Shushu, stop being silly, okay? Go home first, we'll talk tonight. So he couldn't bear to fire his little sweetheart. I pulled a stack of cash out of my pocket and set it on the desk. Whoever helps me throw all the trash on this desk into the bin can have this money. You're going too far. If you keep acting like this, Brother Zhuan will leave you. Shushu, I'm now the Feng family's heir apparent. I'm not the student you could bully at will back then. Feng Zuan spoke through gritted teeth. Veins popped on his forehead, his restrained expression like a wild beast about to explode. Bully? He dared say I bullied him? Had he forgotten the contract? Or did he think I'd thrown it away long ago? I nodded seriously again. I'm not the school bully I used to be either. I was a society bully now. But who said bullying had to be done with my own hands? I swept everything off the desk onto the floor and turned to leave. 6 in the CEO's office of the Feng Group. Feng Boxi looked at me with a half smile. I knew he wanted to strangle me, but he forced a fake smile. What brings Her Highness Shushu here? He'd been trying to crush Feng Zuan back then, and would have succeeded if I hadn't stepped in. I brought you a gift. I laid out the Shuhan Technology share transfer contract in front of him. When he saw the title, Feng Boxi's eyes lit up. The only reason Feng Zuan could stand against him now was because this company proved his ability. Without it, Feng Zuan was nothing to him. His hands trembled slightly as he opened the contract. 100%. He muttered the number, his mouth almost splitting into a grin. What price does the princess ask? Name your price. Feng Zuan likes being bullied. It should be fun watching him and his sweetheart get picked on. Oh, and he likes wearing pink. I blew on my nails casually. Feng Boxi wouldn't shortchange me, not if he wanted to stay on good terms with the Deng family. To get more, I'd better not name a price. I left the signed contract and walked out of the Feng Group. As soon as I got in the car, a text alert came in. 50 billion. Not bad. 10 billion more than its actual value. 7 that night I went back to the villa and had all of Feng Zuan's things thrown out. I also sent the newly bought pink clothes and shoes to Feng Boxi's house. At 9 o'clock I received another transfer, with a note, pink clothes. Then a friend request from Feng Boxi. Thinking he was polite enough to pay for the clothes and shoes, I accepted. Anytime you need something, Your Highness, just say the word. I replied with an OK emoji and started my skincare routine. My life was simple, just keep myself beautiful. At 11 o'clock, honking outside the villa woke me up. I called the housekeeper. Whoever that car belongs to, silence it right now. Disturbing my beauty sleep was like trying to kill me. The honking stopped quickly. The next morning when I went downstairs, the housekeeper reported to me carefully. Miss, that was Mr. Feng's car last night. Did he leave? The housekeeper didn't react at first. Pardon? Did that Feng guy leave? I had all his stuff thrown out. Why was he throwing a fit at my door in the middle of the night? The housekeeper wiped her sweat and relaxed. Glad I wasn't mad at her. Mr. Feng is still outside. Last night we disabled his car horn and slashed his tires. Her voice got quieter and quieter. Well done. Bonus for all of you at the end of the month. When I finished breakfast and walked out, Feng Zuan was still standing at the gate. When he saw me, he hurried over anxiously. Shushu, what's wrong? What did I do wrong? I glanced at his black suit. I thought you liked pink. His face changed and he tried to grab my hand. Shushu, we've been together for 10 years. Can't we talk this out? I pulled away. I gave you a chance. You chose to keep your little sweetheart. Shushu, stop being unreasonable. I'm the boss of the company. If I fire someone just because you say so, how will I keep my authority? Not my problem. Since when was I ever a nice person? Did he really try to guilt trip me? Had he forgotten the person standing in front of him was once a school bully? At my words his face turned cold. If you insist on this, we'll take some time apart. I'm a man, you have to give me face. What man could stand your pushy personality? I felt disgusted. He was the one who'd begged to obey me, to be my servant. Now he cared about face? I thought about it last night. I'd given him too much freedom these past few years, making him think he was all that. If he hadn't used my boyfriend's status to do business, who would have signed contracts with a Feng family illegitimate son? Now he thought he was amazing, wanting face and pride. Classic wanting to have his cake and eat it too. I hadn't even asked for dividends all these years. By his original promise, all the money belonged to me. I was the sole owner of the company, he was just an employee. My followers were waiting for me at a bar, saying they had big drama. No doubt it was about Feng Zuan. I was bored anyway, so I went to listen. Sister Shushu, Feng Zuan is the worst. He's been with Hezixin for 3 years. She's his old neighbor from when he was still an illegitimate kid, their childhood sweethearts. He bought her a hundreds of square meter luxury apartment in the fanciest area, and several villas too. That Feng is shameless. He used your status to get ahead, then kept a mistress and spent all the money on her. I casually flipped through Feng Zuan's chat logs. He sent good mornings and good nights, checked in non-stop every single day. How could he be so two-faced, splitting his affection between 2 women? A list of Feng Zuan's assets was handed to me. Sister Shushu, he's so dirty, he put all his property under the mistress's name. If you married him, he'd take your money, and all you'd get is a green hat. I frowned at the list of houses and cars. 9. That night I lay in bed thinking whether to deal with Feng Zuan myself or leave it to Feng Boxy. Then I received a video from the rich girls group chat. In the video, Feng Zuan's villa was covered entirely in green paint, roof, windows, even the swimming pool. All over the green walls big red characters were sprayed. Scum, mistress. The doors and windows of his high-rise properties were marked the same way. It was childish, but it felt so satisfying. The last video showed one of my girls dumping green paint from a helicopter onto the 2 people in the swimming pool. They were being so lovey-dovey they didn't even notice what was coming. Bucket after bucket of paint poured down on them. Hezixin screamed loudly, making the girls on the helicopter even more excited and faster with their work. Paint kept covering them. High-pressure water hoses were also used. They tried to climb out of the pool several times, but the paint stopped them. They suffered in the water. The noise drew neighbors over to watch. Some elderly folks even climbed over the wall for the drama. You girls are so vicious, someone shouted up at the helicopter. You're so forgiving? I hope your whole family is just as forgiving. Hope your husbands, sons and brothers all keep mistresses. Ha ha ha, hope your whole family wears green hats. Hope your husbands spend all your money on mistresses while you sit there being understanding. None of these girls were doormats. Their laughing voices made the people below turn pale. Once people found out Hezixin was the mistress, someone picked up rocks and threw them into the pool. Mistress bitch. One person led, others followed. Which wealthy family didn't have mistresses? Who didn't hate them? Soon a crowd of women dragged Hezixin out and beat her. It got wilder and wilder. The police finally showed up and ended the chaos. I sent a big red envelope in the group. I'll tell my dad about your great deeds tomorrow. The group was flooded with kowtow emojis. My dad had checked the backgrounds of all these girls. They came from good families, mischievous but with good morals. After they pledged loyalty to me, my dad always gave them projects to work on. 10 Your Highness, are you awake? That morning when I saw Feng Boxy's message, it felt weirdly familiar. Wasn't this Feng Zuan's daily morning line? Except Feng Zuan sent, Master, are you awake? Spit it out. Cut. The fake nice act. He'd hated me ever since I helped Feng Zuan back in school. Your Highness has such a bad temper. He followed it with a sad puppy emoji. I cringed and put my phone down. Feng Boxy was talented and capable in every way. But he was a Feng. I wanted nothing to do with the Feng surname for the rest of my life. 11. When my friends heard my dad had given their families projects, they insisted on dragging me to afternoon tea. I had nothing to do, so I went. We'd just sat down when uninvited guests showed up. Zixin strutted over with a brand-name luxury bag, sat down at our table uninvited and proudly plopped the bag on the table, then flaunted the diamond necklace around her neck. Deng Shu, you're such an idiot. Brother Zhuan is already mad at you, and you still dare to provoke him? We all stared at her like she was crazy. She didn't seem to notice and kept performing. You're so pathetic. You've been his girlfriend for years. What have you gotten? All of Brother Zhuan's assets are under my name. Look at you, not a single decent piece of jewelry or nice clothing. Everything I'm wearing is the latest designer collection. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Brother Zhuan said you're so boring in bed. I'm the one who matches him best. I love pink, so the bedding in the CEO's office is all pink. You didn't know, did you? We make love there every day, at least 3 packs of condoms a day. I've finally realized when people are this cringy, you really just have nothing to say. I was filthy rich. Why would I wear the same clothes as everyone else? I had no designer logos because all my clothes were custom made exclusively for me. The necklace around my neck had cost my dad 10 billion at auction, a piece made for a favored, imperial concubine in ancient times. My ring was even more precious, one of a kind in thousands of years. As for their bedroom stuff, why would I care? Feng Zuan was good looking when he first came to me, but he wasn't my type. I'd only let him be my boyfriend loosely these years. He never even made it official. If I'd found someone I actually liked, I would have dumped him long ago. Trash in my eyes, and she was bragging about him like he was a prize. I expressionlessly sent the recording I just made to Feng Zuan, and played it out loud right in front of He Zixin. Her face twisted in panic and rage. You're despicable. You recorded me. I remember you once said if you ever betrayed me, you'd give me everything you own. Now hand over those properties you put under your mistress's name. I smiled and asked, anything else to say, mistress? Over my dead body. Those houses are mine. You're just after Brother Zhuan's money. You're disgusting. He Zixin clutched her bag tightly, trying to steady her trembling body. She was probably terrified of losing everything. Her face paled gradually. Done talking? I remained calm, not provoked at all. She stared at me confused and fell silent. Then it's our turn. Girls, let's go. Finally. We've been waiting for your order, Sister Shu. 5 minutes later, He Zixin was stripped naked, wig and all, and dumped on the street. If you love climbing into bed so much, why wear clothes? One of my girls tossed that out, and we left. 12 Your Highness, were you wrong today? Feng Boxi's message came quickly. I texted back, why haven't I seen your illegitimate half-brother in that pink suit yet? Wait 3 more days, Your Highness. Our old man's birthday banquet is in 3 days. I'll put on a show for you there. Let him run wild before he falls. I set my phone down. I'd also received an invitation. I hadn't planned on going, but now it sounded like fun to watch the drama. I had no big ambitions in life. Just eat, drink, have fun, and stay beautiful. Not wasting money recklessly was already the greatest repayment to my parents. Anyway, their money was more than enough for 10 lifetimes. 13 I went viral. Not as the richest man's daughter, but for teaching a mistress a lesson. After we left, He Zixin didn't put her clothes on right away. She pulled out her phone and started a live stream. She cried miserably on camera, complaining about how I'd bullied her. First I burned her hair, then threw all her things in the trash at the company, and now stripped her naked and dumped her on the street. To be honest, if she hadn't been the mistress, I might have thought I'd gone too far. A kept woman dared to bully the main girlfriend? That's what people were commenting online. If I didn't act now, I'd be letting down all these fired-up netizens. I drove my red sports car to where He Zixin was live streaming. I brought a locksmith and kicked the door open directly. He Zixin was so scared when she saw me that her phone slipped out of her hand. Clumsy, I picked it up and set it neatly on the table. Hello everyone, your main girlfriend is here. As He Zixin stared in shock, I slapped her left and right until she saw stars. Once her face was swollen high, I smiled at the screen. You're right. A kept woman is bullying me. If I don't do something as the main girlfriend, I'll be cursed. The comments were full of question marks. I grinned wickedly. I pulled out a pair of scissors, ripped off her wig and cut off the rest of her hair. A mistress should know her place. How dare you lie online? Did you leave your morals in your mom's womb when you were born? I cursed straight into the camera lens. Feng Zuan walked in just as I finished shaving He Zixin's head. She was petrified. When she saw him, she threw herself at him like she'd found salvation. Brother Zuan, wah-ah. She sobbed out her grievances. Ex-boyfriend, you're here. When are you transferring those properties to me? I ignored their love-a-dive act and spoke directly to the camera. Shushu, you've gone too far. That money was all earned by me. Feng Zuan looked like a wild beast about to explode, barely holding back. Right before he snapped, I pointed at the phone on the table. Mr. CEO, you're live. Watch your expression. Feng Zuan's face changed instantly. Shushu, you've never responded to my feelings properly all these years. There was nothing between us. Just like that, I was the unreasonable one, and they were the star-crossed lovers. Deng Shu, you're such an idiot. Brother Zhuan is already mad at you, and you still dare to provoke him. You're so pathetic. You've been his girlfriend for years. What have you gotten? All of Brother Zhuan's assets are under my name. Look at you, not a single decent piece of jewelry or nice clothing. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Brother Zhuan said you're so boring in bed. I'm the one who matches him best. I love pink, so the bedding in the CEO's office is all pink. You didn't know, did you? We make love there every day, at least 3 packs of condoms a day. I played He Zixin's recording without warning. The online insults turned into a screen full of question marks. This recording is fake. She's framing me. He Zixin shrieked like a corpse coming back to life. At the same time, I received a video from Feng Boxi. It was footage matching the audio, for your highness's amusement. Feng Zuan plans to announce his marriage to the mistress at the old man's birthday banquet. If you're not in a hurry, I can save it for then. I put my phone away. The Feng family old man had 2 such filial sons, who knew if he'd survive the winter. Compared to them, I was way more dutiful. 14. I was feeling smug when my mom called. Deng Shu. Come home right now. She hadn't called my full name in years. I was doomed. A bad feeling spread through me. I held my phone screen up to the live stream. Sorry, my mom's calling. We'll chat later. I specialize in beating mistresses. Call me if you need service. I read out Feng Zuan's phone number, then rushed back to the Deng family manor. 15 on the way, my girl group chat blew up. Sister Shu, your mom's setting you up on blind dates. She just posted in the Wealthy Wives group. Then came a screenshot of her mom's chat. I have a daughter, mischievous by nature, upright in character, with no grand ambitions, and she won't give her mother-in-law trouble. Seeking a well-behaved live-in son-in-law. Those willing to blind date, please come to the Deng family manor immediately. Attached was a photo of me at age 5 in a princess dress, smiling innocently. Me. Probably only 5-year-old me seemed cute to my mom. The wives group exploded with sign-ups, everyone arguing over whose son was good enough for me. Mrs. Feng was among them, posting Feng Boxi's PhD graduation photo. Good-looking, rich, nice personality, capable. Another wife mocked her at once. Haven't you seen the trending topics? Your Feng boy hurt her, and you still dare show up for a slap in the face? Mrs. Feng replied, that's not my son. That little bastard can't compare to mine. But they share the same blood. Double quotes. Mrs. Feng went silent. A moment later, a new message popped up from Mrs. Feng, actually Feng Boxi himself. Hello aunts and elder sisters, I'm Feng Boxi. My mom's excellent genes overpower all bad blood. See you at the Deng Manor. Followed by a flawless 360-degree selfie. Looking at his cocky, confident face, he didn't seem that annoying anymore. Sister Shu, don't go home. All the rich heirs are at your place. I'm scared they'll eat you alive. Sister Shu, my dad dragged my brother over. Go easy on him. Sister Shu, need us as bodyguards? I looked up and saw I was already at the Deng Manor gate. I was about to U-turn and hide at my apartment for 2 days when a crowd blocked my car. Leading them was Feng Boxi, with my mom's bodyguards behind him. Feng Boxi bent over in front of my car. Your Highness, you're back. I had no idea how he made your Highness sound so natural. I rolled down the window. Double quotes. Mr. Feng, what do you want? He held out a document with both hands. Your Highness, take a look. I opened it lazily, and the words almost made my jaw drop. It was another master-servant contract, signed, sealed, and notarized. If Feng Boxi ever betrayed me in this life, all his assets would go to me, and he would castrate himself. He volunteered to be a live-in son-in-law. Only one request: after marriage have 2 children, regardless of gender, one for the Feng family, one for the Deng family. The contract was in triplicate, with 1 copy filed at the notary office. Your Feng family really is something. What era was this? They loved being servants. The first one was novel. The second was just boring. I threw his document on the floor, another trick to lie to me. Some people keep their word, others lie. If this is the only way to win your highness's favor, I am willing to try. I took it as just another cheap trick, rolled up the window, and entered the manor. When I reached the main building, the driveway was packed with luxury cars, more exaggerated than I imagined. 16 I planned to drive away, but my mother's people carried me, car and all, into the hall. I stepped out. The 1,000-square-meter lobby was packed with people. Shushu, take a look. Anyone you like? I linked my arm through my mother's. Mom, I'm allergic to men. Why don't you find some young ladies for me instead? My voice wasn't loud, but it was loud enough for everyone to hear. Most of the noble ladies paled. Mrs. Deng, we have something to attend to, so we'll be leaving. A group slipped away. The room looked much brighter. I slumped lazily on the sofa, coughing repeatedly, and said to the maid, I think my heart is acting up. Bring my medicine quickly. The maid looked confused, glancing anxiously at me and then at my mother. To the guests, her hesitation looked like she was hiding that I had a heart condition. Cough, cough. This time it wasn't me. A group of ladies made various excuses and left with their sons. Only a handful of people remained in the living room. I glanced over. They were all my former classmates. They knew me well, so pretending to be sick wouldn't work. I jumped up from the sofa and swept my leg out, sending things crashing. A porcelain vase worth over 100 million shattered all over the floor. Auntie Lu, bring a few more vases from the storage. I haven't finished my workout for today. My mother sank helplessly onto the sofa. She had to spoil her own daughter, and she wanted someone who could tolerate me unconditionally. That was why the marriage listing hadn't sugar-coated me at all. Auntie Liu looked at my mother, and when she saw no objection, she brought out several more expensive-looking vases from storage. They were actually 101 replicas my father had made for exhibitions. The real ones were easy to steal, and it would be troublesome to ask for compensation if they broke. This was the compromise. Anyone interested could come to the house to pick up the authentic pieces. I gave Auntie Liu a thumbs up. 1 punch, 1 vase. Some ladies couldn't stand my wastefulness and left with their sons too. Only a few odd-looking ones were left. I didn't need to act anymore. My mother was a total face control snob. No matter how good the other conditions were, ugly was a deal breaker. I can't have my baby waking up to ugly faces every day. What if my grandchildren are so ugly I don't even dare hold them? How terrifying would that be? Just when I thought I was in the clear, an untimely knock sounded. Feng Boxi stood at the door with a bright smile. Hello, Auntie. I'm Feng Baoshi. Son of the outstanding, kind, and beautiful Mrs. Feng. My mother's previously gloomy face lit up instantly, her eyes shining like light bulbs. Feng Boxi's looks were exactly her type. He could have been a beggar and she still would have taken him. Mom, he's Feng Xuan's brother. What brother? Different mothers. She smiled and pulled Feng Boxi to sit next to me. The remaining few saw Feng Boxi's credentials and left tactfully. Great. All my acting just now was for nothing. Auntie, I don't have anything good to give, only this. He handed the document he'd shown me earlier to my mother. To my shock, the first page was one I hadn't seen, a virginity certificate. My mother beamed from ear to ear, flipping through page after page, growing more satisfied and fond by the second. For someone like me, this guarantee was too tempting for her. Shushu, what do you think? Let's settle this. My mother placed our hands together. I quickly pulled mine away, unlocked my phone expressionlessly, and played the handwritten master-servant contract Feng Xuan had given me. Feng family specialty, guaranteed rotten fruit. My mother's smile froze on her face, and she immediately looked unhappy. Auntie, mine is notarized. Nothing like those cheap lies. That made my mother hesitate. The Feng family had considerable assets. We were the richest family, but they ranked in the top 10. And Feng Boxi had recently lifted them to the top 5. Why not give it a try? Such good conditions, such loyalty, my mother couldn't bear to let it go. No one surnamed Feng, I refused firmly. 17 My friends invited me to an art auction to hunt for pieces. I'd been around art since I was little, and had a natural eye for it. As my only decent skill, I naturally didn't refuse. When I arrived, I ran straight into Hezixin and Feng Zuan. They walked past me arrogantly. Thinking tomorrow was the Feng family old man's birthday, I pretended not to see them. During the auction intermission, I went to the restroom. As soon as I stepped in, the door closed behind me. I tried to open it, but it had been locked from the outside. You bitch, you just won't leave us alone. Brother Zuan is not for you to covet. It was he, Zixin's voice. I called Feng Zuan, hoping he would handle his woman. But when he picked up, his voice was cold. Shushu, have you finally realized your mistake? Want to come back to me? Then you have to accept punishment. I might consider taking you back. What a joke, a mistake. The man was insane. Well, his mother wasn't even worthy of the wealthy wives' circle. He had no idea how popular I was. I hung up and texted my friends. When they arrived, they gasped. Then my phone buzzed with a photo from them. The door had 7 locks. By the time the locksmith finished, the auction was nearly over. To appease me, the organizer offered me an antique. I turned it down and asked them to display my documents on the big screen at the end. Otherwise, I would expose the incident online. When choosing between hurting themselves and hurting the cheating couple, they didn't hesitate to pick the latter. I sent the organizer Feng Zuan's original master-servant contract, along with proof of his affair with Hezixin, all the properties registered under Hezixin's name, and the video of her arrogant rant that day. When I returned to the hall, Hezixin looked at me triumphantly. There were no cameras in the restroom. She thought she'd won. Final lot, the death mask of Tutankhamun. But the screen didn't show the golden mask. It showed Feng Zuan's master-servant contract. The screen then split in two. The contract stayed on the right, while the left played evidence of his cheating, the properties under Hezixin's name, and finally the video of her boasting shamelessly. Turn it off, Feng Zuan shouted at the stage, but no one listened. Hezixin stared fixedly at the contract, shocked and humiliated beyond belief. I tilted my head and enjoyed her shifting expressions. When she finally snapped, she screamed on the spot. Funny, right? The god she worshipped had once been so lowly, so pathetic. All her sense of superiority crumbled to dust. Since it was an auction, many reporters were present. The scene was posted online immediately. Everyone who had been cursing me finally realized the truth. I had been telling the truth all along. The internet erupted in insults toward the cheating man and his mistress. I didn't care. I only wanted to know if he would transfer those assets to me now that everything was exposed. If he didn't, his credibility would be zero. At the villa gate, Feng Shuan looked exhausted. His usually neat suit was creased all over. I ignored him and walked straight inside. Shushu, why did you ruin me? Transfer those assets to me, and you'll still be a man of your word. You can start over. We stood 5 meters apart, staring at each other. It felt like 10 years ago. Shushu, your family has endless wealth. Are you really going to haggle with me over this little bit? His suppressed fury was about to erupt. I don't bicker with trash. But if a dog bites me, I kick it back. I don't hold back just because it's a beast. Either way, he would end up with nothing. Realizing I was calling him and Hezixin trash and animals, Feng Zuan snapped. Did you never think I was good enough? Did you always look down on me? That's why you wouldn't let me touch you? I rolled my eyes. Your current dishonesty really makes me look down on you. 20 The old man Feng's birthday banquet. I only arrived at the hotel after the banquet started. Your Highness, you're finally here. Feng Boxi was waiting for me at the entrance. Have you been waiting this whole time? I joked casually, but he replied seriously, of course. No one is more important than your Highness. I linked my arm through his and entered the banquet hall. Feng Zuan was giving a speech on stage. After what happened yesterday, he still has the nerve to speak? Feng Boxi pulled out a chair for me, waited for me to sit, then sat beside me. He's so embarrassed he's trying to save face through the old man. Are they still announcing their marriage today? I was curious. Fang Boxy smiled contemptuously. Yes, I had someone suggest they give all their assets and Shuhan technology to the Feng family as a sign of sincerity. The old man was overjoyed. 2-1 After Feng Zuan finished his long speech on stage, he turned the topic to himself. I ask everyone here to witness today. I will transfer Shuan technology and all my real estate to the Feng group. From now on, Feng Zuan and the Feng family are one. I scoffed inwardly. The old man wanted to swallow him up, and he was plotting to seize the old man's assets in return. Did they think Fang Boxy was dead? On stage, Feng Zuan and the old man hurriedly signed the share transfer agreement. Suddenly someone in the audience spoke up. Mr. Feng, according to public records online, Shuan Technology is not under Feng Zuan's name. Is this transfer agreement even valid? Of course it was invalid, anyone could see that. The old man was caught completely off guard. Feng Zuan had run Shuhan from the very beginning, so he never imagined it didn't belong to him. He immediately ordered someone to check. Public records showed all shares of Shuan Technology once belonged to me, and later to an unknown individual. Seeing the results on the big screen, Feng Zuan nearly collapsed on the spot. He stared at me with a deathly pale face, finally unlocking the memory from 10 years ago. He'd forgotten all about it because I'd never asked for dividends all these years. Zixin, standing beside him, saw his ashen face and quickly stepped away from him. The old man looked utterly disgusted. With things having come to this, he could only say, if the company can't be transferred, then transfer the properties. They were about to sign when Zixin suddenly found the courage to tear all the documents to pieces. These properties are mine. I won't allow them to be transferred. Feng Zuan was on the verge of breaking down, but with everyone laughing at him, he held back his urge to kill and grabbed her. Xin, aren't you marrying me? I'm now an official young master of the Feng family. The Feng fortune will be mine too. Zixin hesitated for only a second, then shook her head wildly. The perfect image of Feng Zuan in her mind was completely shattered. She was smart enough to understand what it meant that the company was fully under my control. She'd probably found out my real identity recently. It was easy to look up if one wanted to. We don't need to be the Feng young master and mistress. We have enough to live comfortably for the rest of our lives. Zixin only wanted to hold on to what she could. But Feng Zuan could never accept that. He'd been willing to be my servant just to seize the entire Feng family. The two struggled on stage. The old man was mortified. He left the scene leaning on his cane. Aren't you going to check on dear old dad? Fang Boxy took a light sip of tea. He planned the whole birthday banquet himself. Their father-son relationship was that bad? I hadn't expected that. Ever since I found out he cheated on my mother, he hasn't deserved my affection. If you're with me, you'll have one less father-in-law to obey. If you hit him or scold him at home, I'll even hand you a stick. Isn't that nice? Listening to his twisted words, I complained. Aren't you afraid I'll go crazy and hit your mother too? He shook his head. Your Highness, you might not have noticed, but I went to the same school as you from kindergarten through college. I know exactly what you're like. My mother isn't a villain. She won't be your target. As the banquet hall emptied, he still sat beside me, watching the crowd leave indifferently, as if I were the only one in the room worth his attention. I think you've been spying on me since we were kids. You pervert. I threw a peeled grape at his clean suit. The show's over. This palace is returning to rest. Farewell, your Royal Highness. Even so, he insisted on seeing me to my car. Feng Zuan went viral again for his ridiculous stunt at his father's birthday banquet. Zixin had cried online about being bullied just days earlier, so netizens quickly recognized the pair. Elma, oh, so this is true love. Barf. Rich family drama at its finest. Did no one notice the original partner is Princess Dang? She's the richest lady in the city. Zixin actually called herself the main partner and slandered Deng as a kept woman. The joke's on them. The whole company belongs to the princess. They lived off her, and the mistress still dared to provoke her. The princess didn't hit her hard enough. I would have skinned her. Another case where the mistress attacks the real girlfriend and claims to be the legitimate one. Moral decay or human depravity? Your Highness, enjoy the new show. Feng Boxi sent several videos. He'd leaked the exact addresses of Heizixin's properties. Netizens showed up spontaneously to throw eggs and rotten vegetables. Someone even sent funeral wreaths to their home. They were harassed so badly they tried to sell the houses. But anyone who came to view the properties got pelted with eggs. And eventually no one dared to look when they heard who the sellers were. Now they couldn't live in the houses or sell them. They moved into a rental apartment, but it was found within a week, and the egg throwing started again. People swore they wouldn't bother the couple until the properties were returned to the princess. Feng Zuan had been fired from Shuhan Technology. He dressed in black sportswear, unshaven and haggard, kneeling outside my villa. Shushu, I was wrong. This time I'll keep the promise. You failed to keep your word last time. Why should I trust you again? I wasn't actually planning to forgive him. Those properties were worth hundreds of millions. I'd rather give them to mountain kids than to a cheating scumbag. He stared at me blankly, then realized, the houses aren't in my hands. Then come back when the properties are transferred to me. We'll talk after that. The next time I heard about Feng Zuan, he was suing Heizixin for the houses. He'd paid for all of them in full, so winning the lawsuit was easy. On the day he won, he was hit by Heizixin's car on his way to see me. You think you can dump me and be with Deng Shu? Dream on. That was what the police heard on the car's recording. Heizixin got her wish. Feng Zuan became a vegetable. And Heizixin was also paralyzed for life. The police gave me the property transfer documents found in Feng Zuan's car. I had the houses sold, and the money turned into daily supplies and books, donated to poor rural areas. It was something my parents did every year, saying it was to accumulate blessings for this little tyrant of theirs. I thought my life would finally be peaceful, that I'd live a carefree life of beauty and shopping. Unexpectedly I went viral again. Feng Boxi posted his notarized master-servant contract on his social media, along with the certificates and transfer agreements he'd shown my mother. He even tagged my mom specifically. She replied with a thumbs up and commented, "I've got high hopes for you."